welcome to the very first episode of the Cookie Talk, where we create a safe space for high school students and alumni to learn, connect, and share their own experiences, advice, and tips about various aspects of life. So for our very first episode, we have been very fortunate to get in touch with extremely hardworking and talented alumni, recently graduated from RJSV, Essy.
Hi.
So as we welcome Essy to the podcast today, we'll discuss the most challenging aspect of student life, which is time management. From balancing schoolwork and projects and homeworks to one's social life, friends, and family, is 24 hours a day enough? Before we discuss this topic, Essy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. I'm going to try to best improvise this as I could. Hello everyone, my name is Essy. I recently graduated and I'm currently taking a gap year, completing the rest of my plans for high school, and hopefully I will go to college to the United States next year.
So, well, firstly, as our podcast is titled the Cookie Talk, in every episode, we will bring to the table two different types of cookies for our guests to choose from. So today we have cranberry walnuts and also macadamia nuts with chocolate dripping. So, would you like to try some?
I'm gonna try to be healthy but also fun, so this chocolate and macadamia.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay. Well, to begin this episode, as an RJSV alumni who had completed the IB diploma program, I understand it is one of the hardest programs, and also requires the student to balance several aspects from the different subjects to TOK, theory of knowledge, and then the EE, an extended essay, a 4,000 word essay, and then also CAS. So what was your everyday routine in high school?
I mean, you would think that it would be very different each day, but it's really not, because, having going to school, that's already a part of my routine that is never changed. So, aside from taking classes, of course, then at home, of course, I have to spend a lot of time working on my ECAs, or during exam seasons, I would probably go to the library right after school, to the public library, to spend maybe 3 to 4 hours there studying, preparing for my exams. And then I spend the rest of my time at home to work on every other curriculum that I'm either a leader at managing the kids, or maybe it's a personal project that I've been working on and I want to spend time developing.
Well, I think that studying effectively is a very important aspect when it comes to managing your time.
Because I'm dumb.
Personally, I find practicing past papers and flashcards really helpful for me, but studying might vary for everyone, so could you share some study methods that you use?
Well, personally for me, I'm a very visual learner, so definitely flashcards is a big part of my studying routine, but the flashcard needs to be somewhat aesthetic and also very visual. So let's take an example. When I was learning biology, the menstrual cycle, for example, I had to be very visual about it, especially with the hormone cycles and stuff. I had to really draw it out and then use those pictures to remember the materials. For me, I think that flashcards and active recall, spaced repetition are the three holy pillar that you definitely can use. But then again, there are very, very different methods that you just need to figure out if it fits you, because what's important about studying effectively is actually not the methods itself, but your personal approach to studying. And those methods are only there to help you craft a more effective overall routine. Please cut that out. Overall routine to help you study better. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick.
Thank you for coming here to us today. So another thing that just came across my mind is that during high school we also were working on the RJSV and also hosting a group work at school.
I have some mock trials.
Oh yeah, a mock trial at school. Yeah. So alongside that, you are also the owner of a TikTok account of almost 60,000.
Yeah, almost 60,000.
Yeah. So did you face any struggles balancing all these aspects?
Honestly, I'm gonna say this and it's gonna sound a little bit arrogant, but not at all. I feel 24 hours is enough. But that's only because now here's the importance of doing the things you actually love. Because when you do, then working on another job is like taking a break from another job. So TikTok for me, for example, is the break that I take from school. Or working on projects that I'm really passionate about is a break from everything else. So it did not feel like work or, oh my god, I need to be productive, this is a job. But it more feel like, okay, I'm gonna take my mind off of this one and work on this one.
So nice.
And I love doing that, so it did not feel much stress at all. Of course, it's gonna be a little bit stressful. Like there are aspects of these jobs that I don't particularly like, but because overall I really do like them, so I'm willing to put in the dedication to it.
So that is then like choosing what you actually do.
Yes, always choose what you actually want to do, or else you're gonna suffer. You're really going to suffer.
Well, as someone who's trying to like balance all things at once, one of the things I struggle with the most is like getting distracted. For instance, like a lot of times I promise myself to like only scroll on TikTok like 5 minutes. It turns into like an hour or something. So do you often like get distracted by
Do. I mean, contrary to popular beliefs, I guess, but I do. For example, this morning I was going to write some essays because I'm applying to college, but then I did not, and I just gone on TikTok for, I don't know, 2 hours since I woke up. But I mean, when I was in school and right now, if I want to really snap out of it, I just have to, in harsh words, put myself into place. You know, put down a timer, sit down, tell yourself that no, you cannot do that, let's focus on what you actually need to do. It's going to be very difficult at first, but eventually you get used to it. If you train yourself to get used to being a little bit uncomfortable, you have real life goals ahead that is not going to be accomplished by what scoring through TikToks or watching sitcoms. I mean, it is not to say that you shouldn't do that at all. I think it's very important to balance your personal time for entertainment, for relaxing, and the time that you spend to work on actual jobs and school and activities. But control both of those times. Like give yourself enough time to, I know, have this joy, maintain joy within you, and also enough time to work on your goals.
So how well I understand like you say to like kind of put it down and kind of force yourself to do
Yes.
it. Is there any other way to deal with these distractions, or is that like the best optimal way?
I would say that is the best approach. I guess there are apps that can help you. For example, I use Plenty a lot. This is not a sponsor, but I use Plenty a lot. And if you sign out of the app basically, if you log out of the app while you're in the Pomodoro, then it sends a notification. It scares you to death, so you have to come back. But again, it's all about your mentality more than the approaches and the methods. So it's best to train yourself to be able to be disciplined wherever you are, whenever you are.
Did it take you like a really like long process to get into that mentality?
Yes, it did. I did not get into this place probably until the second year of IT. So the entire first year, chaos.
Okay, we can strive away maybe from the academic side and discuss balancing like not just studying but also like all aspects. As a student, we shouldn't be like studying all day itself, but also like socializing and making the most of our teenage years. So while also being busy with your work, how do you maintain your social lives and relationships?
I think that, I mean, lucky for me, when I hang out with my friends, at least in Ivy, a lot of them were studying things. But we did have a lot of fun. Mostly, we just tell ourselves that, yeah, we cannot study all the time. That's lame. And we really have to enjoy life. And you also have to think about the fact that you might go abroad for college, you might not be here anymore, you might move to a different city. And your life in college is going to be entirely different from high school. So really enjoy it while you can. And don't ever feel guilty about it because it's a part of self-care and self-development that I think is very necessary for your growth. And it's very productive too. Like going out, having fun, going to, I don't know, the cinema, um, those photo shooting booths. That is, the fact that it's fun means that it's good for you, and it is as good for you as working towards your goals. So for me, it's another task that I really like to do, I guess.
I think one thing that really helps struggles with is not just balancing social life with other lives, but also with your family. Was there anything that you did to kind of balance those aspects?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not exactly that close with my family, but I do actively make time for them. So for example, when I go out with my friends, I usually go home before dinner, just to spend that time with them because I know that I spend a lot of time, working on projects, studying, so I actually don't see them a lot. So when I could, I try to make time for them. And I think that I'm not that confident talking on relationships with family because I do put work above my parents a lot, which is something I definitely regret. So right now during my gap year, I'm trying to spend a lot more time with them. On weekends I could ask my parents to build Potter. We can have like a food tour because I'm leaving Vietnam anyway. So yeah, I'm trying to make them take me through every part of the Vietnamese culture that I could before I go. So yeah, sometimes I guess the kid also have to actively make that connection. But
And then it's 30 minutes, I'm going to read the public meditate or something like that. I think when you feel like your life is getting out of control, don't be afraid of people calling you a team or planning out your time like that. That's definitely fine. I really want to spend long, I think one time or time block task is if you thinking about like the past,
You can still.
I time block and like
it gets to the level I have to time block which time block like in 2 minutes increments. Okay, this time I have to go brush my teeth, wash my hair.
So the studying methods and the should vary.
yes, I think so. I mean, what type of learner you are is directly related to just what kind of income you prefer. So some people really like literature, for example, but there isn't anything that's called literature learner. It's just that they like literature and they can include that into their study routine. For me, I like arts and I like visual stuff. I also like, what they call it, weird literature narratives. So when I study biology, I try to weave that into my flashcards, just so that it can be a little bit more interesting and also it's personal. So I definitely will remember it.
This is kind of like one thing I have to ask about. Is that about like the flashcard thing? Do you usually do it like put down a piece of paper, or is there like an app?
Okay, so at first when I was really trying to get into flashcards, like honestly I think it's so boring at first, then yes, I do have to write everything down. Also, when you write it down, it's kind of like you're already learning it at the time that you're writing it down. So that's kind of the first year of IB, I tried to do that to get into flashcards. But it gets to a point where I'm used to flashcards, like I'm used to the little discomfort that flashcards bring me every time I start learning. Then I just switch to a more, I'd say, boring, tedious app like Anki because it's easier to organize. But if you're trying to get into it, do everything you can to make it interesting. And then you can continue that too. I'm simply too lazy to continue with the writing and the creative narrative and the drawing, so I switched to HTML. But you don't have to do that.
I want to think more about it. I think one aspect that also struggle with is procrastination. Is there a way that you kind of face?
Other than trying to discipline yourself, plan ahead for your procrastination. So for example, if I have a video play, if I had a deadline on, say, Friday, I don't put it down as Friday, I put it down as Wednesday. And then I don't remember it anyway. So when I look at my classmates, I went, oh my god, okay, I need to get this done by Wednesday, right? So I'm gonna work and finish it by Wednesday, or like worst scenario, I'm gonna finish it by Thursday or Friday, which still makes it in time for the deadline. So yeah, I mean, if you cannot try it, you don't have to. Don't try to change yourself, but do plan for it and for yourself.
A lot of times for me as well, my kind of emotions get in the way of me like actually doing the work. I remember there was a time where it was before I received my IGCSE math results, and I was like extremely worried, and I was like, oh, I think I did like really badly. Because of me getting so overwhelmed because of that, I kind of stopped working for 2 years, like delayed the whole process. Yeah. So did you like face anything similar?
Yes, I did, definitely. So at first, it's more like a burnout, it's more like a burnout. You get to a point where you have worked too much, you have too much stress on your shoulder, and you really need to take a break. In those times, I just remind myself that the next time I make a plan, I really need to spend it out. I really need to put in actual time where, okay, I'm not going to work anything during this period of time, and I'm just going to take time to recharge and have the actual energy to work on it in the next hour or so. Because honestly, I'm still not too used to that. I still work a lot, and I still love working a little bit too much. It affects me. Like a few days ago, I got sick simply because I had to went out for an interview or something at night. So yeah, consequences, ramifications. Don't be like me. But yeah, I just think it's very important to see that self-love and self-care is also a part of your life that you cannot put down. If you want to be rational about it, if you're smart, then you will know that if you have enough energy and if you have enough mental capacity, then you will work better and you will do better performance.
Very helpful advice from you.
Be conscious.
So, then again, I also remember you talking a lot about the Pomodoro. Yeah. So, is it kind of like an effective way to study? Or time frame?
For me, it is an effective way to recharge my discipline when I feel like I'm losing it. Because yeah, at times I do feel like, oh my god, I'm not being disciplined anymore. Maybe it's after like a break, or maybe it's after a few months before my gap year where I didn't do anything, so I lost my sense of discipline. Then I use Pomodoro as a way to tell myself that okay, every day there's going to be a little period of time where you work on something, and I use Pomodoro to kind of help control that, have control and maintain that every day I will have that period of time. And then in the future, when I'm kind of used with that already, then I don't have to use it anymore. But do you feel like you still do it?
I kind of think of like everything that I'm also learning because I struggle a lot. Especially at the beginning of IGCSE. So, because last year I didn't have that many harder knowledge about stuff, and then also a bunch of projects, so it's kind of taking a toll on yeah.
Sometimes it's a lot about your thinking. You need to change your perspective on things. Because I think that people put a very negative view on studying. They think it's tedious and it's boring. But personally, the only subject that I think is boring and tedious is math. I'm sorry, math nerds, but I don't like math. But for other subjects, I find it really interesting. So yeah, I just think about it in a way that, not in the way that I'm studying, in the way that I'm learning new stuff, and new stuff is fun. Or at some point of my IB journey, I also think in a way that this is a challenge, and a challenge is fun. So whenever I encounter an obstacle, I basically just get like, very excited simply because it's even if you don't have this task as much as the other, it's still more important to actually discipline yourself into completing them. So prioritizing, but then at the same time, as I said before, during exam season, I go to the library, right? There's something similar during academic seasons that me and my friends often go to a cafe near school. Lion Cafes, shout out. Bonjour, shout out. Oh my god. So yeah, we stay there. We work. We tell ourselves that we work on our essays until like 7 or maybe 8 or so. And yeah, if you feel like you're, I guess if you're struggling quite a bit, then find someone who's in the same situation as you and try to work alongside them. And you have to make sure that they are actually working and you're not going to a cafe just to chat and gossip. No, you shouldn't do that. It is very fun, but you shouldn't do that rationally. And also, since think about it in a way that college applications also essays are just another process. You know, if you already have taught school and so you understand, you can think you can logically organize your time for college applications. If you have to put down something, then that's okay too, because you're making a conscious, very conscious and smart choice of your college application on top of the list. And you know, you should feel guilty even if you have to give up a thing or two, like then maybe your hobby. But,
Also, how do you and your friends like actually manage to go to a cafe and study? Usually, when I go to cafes, we like hold our laptops and our books out, and then we start chit chatting for like an hour.
someone has to step up. Definitely. Someone has to step up and like, you know, actually sit down, work in front of your friends, and like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna work. Don't talk to me. And then, I mean, some of my friends still did work on their essays, so but some of my friends do. And you also have to recognize that when you work and your friend works with you, you guys can help each other out. Especially a few of my friends also was applying to US colleges. So we kind of set for ourselves that okay, we're going to finish this draft and then we're going to exchange our laptops and help each other complete. So yeah, someone just has to start the domino chain. Someone to step up, sit down, do your work, and then others will follow you. Hopefully.
Oh, so when you have so many different versus tasks on your agenda, how do you ensure that each task is for a certain quality?
Personally, I put more stress on like I know a lot of us are perfectionists. I am a perfectionist too. But what I came to understand that completion is much more important than achieving you know something perfect. Sometimes perfection is good, it's necessary. But sometimes for certain tasks, for example, you know, maybe a TOK assignment, perhaps you don't have to reach that level of and you may need to save your energy for the important tasks and don't waste it on lessons. I mean, it sounds tough, it sounds cruel,
try to understand your feelings, put in the work. Don't be what's the word? About it. Don't half-ass it. There might be something that you don't like, but just put in the work and you will get there. In terms of like balancing lives in general, it's fine that you give up things, but don't give up the big things. Don't give up the things that you're actually passionate about. Really consider how much this is going to impact you. So, for example, when I started out with my parents weren't exactly on board, and they can see that I'm being very tired and juggling a lot of things and more. The other day I like broke down publicly trying to this, and they really think that's a red flag, and they don't want me to do it anymore. But that is something that's very important, and this is something that I have been wanting to do for a while, and I believe it will impact clients and society. But that, so I follow up with it. But there are other times where, for example, during the exams, I really cannot spend time doing the outdoor. Then that's something I can bring up for a whole bunch of this. I'm still passionate about that, but I'm more passionate about topics, or I'm more passionate about my studying and my learning. So I found it with that now. And that's not a bad thing at all. You never feel right about giving up. Because giving up sometimes is not a big one. That is sometimes very tough.
So these are like long tails of fairies. Like there we go. It's kind of like running through. So to achieve a balance life and being able to manage.
There are other times where
Thank you so much for coming to our very first episode today, Essy, and for joining us on the very first episode of Cookie Talk. We wish you nothing but the best in your university applications and of course everything and as we continue your journey. And we hope that all of the listeners have enjoyed our podcast for today. This was the Cookie Talk, and see you next episode. Bye.
and that's not a bad thing at all. Never feel regret about giving up. Because giving up sometimes is not a big
So these are like long tails of fairies. So there we go. It's kind of like running through. So to achieve a balanced life and being able to manage time is extremely important. Thank you so much for coming to our very first episode today, Essy, and for joining us on the very first episode of Cookie Talk. We wish you nothing but the best in your university applications and of course everything. And as we continue your journey, and we hope that all of the listeners have enjoyed our podcast for today. This was the Cookie Talk, and see you next episode. Bye.